And we're back this morning, and I want to talk about something very important here, it's Bill Farris, correct?
Bill Farris, yeah.
And when Jamie saw your name on the show this morning, he's like, "You didn't tell me he was going to be here. I didn't know you guys worked together so many years ago."
Well, yeah, a long time ago.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Jamie grew up, though.
You think? Wow, there's a big statement. You're so funny. I do want to tell you.
I grew up.
Yeah, he grew up. We're still
debating.
debating.
Grew out more than up. But
Yeah, but I do want to tell you, Lee, I've got it on. But also, I do want to tell you, you're here to talk about, or tell everyone else rather, you're here to talk about something important. There is Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October, and you have a vigil coming up on October 4th, which is Tuesday. First of all, how did you get involved in this?
Well, you know, that's kind of a long story. It really started when I was 14 years old, actually 11 years old.
Wow.
My mother made a really bad choice of stepfathers.
Been there, done that one? Yeah. Understand.
And I learned what it was like firsthand to live in a violent home, and it's one of those things. I don't know whether people realize or not, but you're ashamed of it.
You're embarrassed.
Most people are embarrassed by it. You're ashamed of it. You don't talk about it, and it was one of those things that I really just put out of my life. I didn't talk about it for years and years and years and years, and then I got in a Mobile, and was going to church about 3 doors up from what was being used as a shelter in Mobile. And so they came up and said, "Hey, we need some people to come and interact with the children." And this is in the early 80s, 1982. So they need some people to come and interact with the children who are here in our domestic violence shelter. And so I said, well, I could do that. And then, you know, I got involved, and I kind of began to remember it, so I kept volunteering and
stir up a lot of feelings inside of you.
Yeah, well, you know, I guess the most important thing about it is that I have a deeper understanding of what it's like to be trapped in that environment than someone who's never been there before.
And when you say trapped, it literally is a trap, because you feel like you have nowhere to go, and they make you feel so inferior, and so they knock down your confidence.
Yeah, they knock down your confidence. And one of the questions I get asked all the time is, why don't they leave? You know, why do they stay? If somebody's hitting me in the mouth, yeah, fear is a big deal. Fear is a big deal. But there's another one that people discount. You know, if a woman runs into a burning building to save the life of her children, nobody says a word, because they know that she did that because she loved them. People go back because they love the person, and they think they can change them. And then another thing you have to remember is, it's really dangerous. When people try to leave those relationships, it gets even more dangerous. That's where, you know, when you read in the paper about somebody killed his wife, well, in fact, it happened, you know, in Huntsville last year. Killed one man in Huntsville, and then went up and killed his father-in-law and his brother-in-law.
Escalated.
Yeah, he killed, end up murdering 6 people. And that's the risk that they run when they try and leave. It's just extraordinarily dangerous.
The hostility level is really amazing, and it escalates tremendously.
It is amazing. You know, in Madison a few years ago, it's been a long time ago now, you know, a man put a gun in the face of a 2-year-old girl, his own daughter, and pulled the trigger. And domestic violence, I mean, it produces unbelievable, horrible headlines.
And a lot of times,
and yet it goes on all the time.
It does, and when the children grow up in that, they always say, you know, I don't want to grow up like mom or dad, but yet that cycle's hard to break, because that's all they know.
Well, it is, but you know, having said that, yeah, you know, it's like, I guess the best way to say it is, if you say you have 100 kids who grow up in a violent home, okay, and you have 100 kids who grow up in a normal home, all right. In the normal home, one of those kids becomes violent when he becomes an adult. In the other home where there's violence, 5 of them become violent. And so it looks like I could do a statistic and say 5 times as many children who grow up in violent homes become violent after they become adults. And it looks amazing, but the truth of the matter is, most people who grow up in violent homes don't become violent.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but still, there is an increased risk. And there's an increased risk that little girls who grew up in violent homes will end up in relationships just like the one their mom was in.
Unfortunately, that's true too.
So anyway,
what are you doing Tuesday? What can people do to come help?
Well, just come and show up and help us pray and hold candles,
Okay.
and basically, October is just a time of the year when we ask people to be aware that it's still a big problem in our community.
Okay.
For instance, in Huntsville, police go out on 4,000 domestic violence calls every year.
Wow.
City of Decatur is like 1,200. City of Madison, it's 1,000.
Combine them all, it's unbelievable.
It just
Where
goes on
will
all
the
the
vigil
time.
take place, Bill?
On the east side of the courthouse.
East side of the courthouse,
East
what
side of
time?
the courthouse, 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
Yep.
We're used to 6 a.m., so I want to make sure we get that out there, 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
All right.
Come early.
Thank you so much for being. We're going to have to get back together and have you up here more because I bet you can just talk about this with all the passion and a whole lot more. This has nothing to do with Jamie.
When
Go
was
out
that?
there at the east side of the courthouse. 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 4th, just to show your support. If you've ever been involved in domestic violence or know someone who has, get out there and hold a candle and say some prayers, and I know it'll help. Bill, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Coach Pugh and, of course, Johnny Lee Dees. Don't go anywhere. We will take just a short break.